as gasoline prices have gone up and some other things are going on. I think folks realize that, we want to try to figure out how to get American energy to be cheaper for folks who are just trying to get by.
All consumers. Yeah.
So I think that part's going well. I think, in terms of the data center folks, I think that they were playing a little fast and loose with the way in which they thought the grid operated, right? I mean, the tech guys, what do they say? They move fast and break things. And, but when you break the grid, like you're talking about people on like CPAP machines, folks who need that to actually, live, right? And so you can't do that. And so, I mean, like there was
but if you're talking to a data center company, they're like, we can't.
Right, exactly, right? So
what do you mean? We'll just give you more money for it.
Well, that's the
money,
thing,
right?
I mean, everyone views, the states in colors, right? Red and blue and whatever. But, it was Texas that first passed Senate Bill 6 that basically said to the data centers, look, if things go haywire on the grid, you're the first one to get turned down. That's what that bill says, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was like emergency legislation that they passed sort of 2 years ago. And folks were going, wait, what? What's going on in Texas, right? And, and so now I think the data center companies have come to their senses and said, we got to play nice here, right? Because if we don't play nice, we're not going to achieve speed to power. And that's what we want, is speed to power, right? We thought we were getting it by being rough and just throwing a bunch of money around. That's not working. Let's play nice. And now what they've realized is actually there's a lot of software to help them, right? And that software comes from the oil and gas industry. It comes from the solar industry. They've been able to map out the grid. There's a company called Grid Astra that basically, if you just tell them where you want to put it, they will come up with this cockamamie scheme of how to integrate into the grid. And, sometimes it'll be like $100 million to connect to the grid. And sometimes it'll be like $4 billion to connect it to the grid. But they'll give you an answer, right? They'll be like, here's how you do it if you're forcing me to do it. And like that all came out of the solar and wind industry and the battery storage industry, right? Their roots were helping to figure out how to price batteries and, and some of that stuff onto the grid. So I think everyone's helping each other out. I think people respect each other's domains and are realizing that there's folks who've been working in this sector for 25 years and they have real expertise. I can't just waltz in, with a computer science degree and tell them how to do their job. And so I think folks are starting to respect each other. And now, as a result, things are moving faster. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is moving faster because people respect each other.
Yeah.
We're seeing it on our side of the fence too, in terms of like, it was always oil and gas or renewables. Now it's just sort of becoming the energy industry.
Yeah.
And we're just becoming energy landmen. And we're all working together at this juncture, thanks to the tech bros and the data centers.
Yeah.
They've sort of forced us to align.
You have to force change. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's right. Well, what's so funny, right, is that on the one hand, we're talking about how this is going to be the energy industry and everybody's just playing nice and working together. And on this side, everyone's like celebrating, Landman, the show where the guy's like going off on wind power and going off on whatever else. And it's all basically just, going into some sort of like weird, sort of like caricature that folks believe about, landmen. And, the reality is that as you suggested, when we were talking in the pre-session, everything starts with land.
Yeah.
Right. That's
it. Does. And it does. It's in one sense, having a TV show has helped us be able to at least recruit someone because you don't have to start with like, what's a landman?
They're like, wow. I can make a lot of money being a landman.
I get an F-250 and get to, but no, you don't. But there are some there's some lessons learned, and we talk a lot about that. The cautionary tales and things that the oil and gas industry is a 150-year-old industry at this point in time, and they've been dealing with people the entire time and getting these commercial projects built. An oil field development or a natural gas development is a commercial project. It covers hundreds of thousands of acres. So what some of the lessons we're starting to see, surface is that kind of public, how you handle the community, the groundwork that you set, when you're going into an area is super important. And that's what a landman really does.
Yeah.
Or a land agent or anybody who's doing this type of work. They're the conduit between the business and the person. and it's important. And you nailed it. You can't just come in there and throw money at a situation that'll only take you so far. And that may work out for the first people in, but at some point the buck's got to stop, and you have to really be cognizant of the community and the narrative that you set, and you have to show that you're considering them, and you have to understand their perspective and value that, and try to show that you're doing something to fix it.